Am I live already? Looks like I am. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. It is an early morning for me because I am a restless mother, and with all of the situations that has been going on, um, I just kind of want to clarify and clear some I don't know. I don't even know what to call it because it's like a conflict of error that constantly keeps going on, and it seems like nobody pays attention until you take it to the internet. So since the internet is so big, and maybe we're right, maybe we're wrong in this situation, the only thing that I know how to do is reach out and um, see if there's anybody that can contact me with education on dealing with the child youth facility. Now, I do know, here in my community, there is a lot going on with our teenagers. And as a mom, I want to be the first to apologize, because had I known that me being at work so much would interfere with my child's behavior, I would have definitely chose a different path. Um, had I known that, trying to follow the rules and respect the law and things like that um, would bite me in the ass um, in all manners. Um, it's just like you damned if you do, you damned if you don't here in the city of Milwaukee. So, what I want to say without really digging too deep is that now, me personally, I have never been in a juvenile facility besides like the group homes and things that I grew up in. But when I went to visit my son on yesterday, now, yes, he is in there for his wrongdoing, which I do understand. Everybody needs to have their punishments and be held accountable. So I'm not making an excuse for my son. But in the visit, which I only had about a 35 to 40-minute visit. And this was my first time going. Um, in the visit, I noticed on my son where he had a bruise here on his eye. So, matter of fact, it was more so up here. I'm thinking about my injury, but it was more so up here on his, um, towards the top of his head. And there was some scarring a little bit on the other side of his head, on the right and left side. So I'm asking him as we're talking about, making sure he, learns from his mistakes. I'm asking him questions, and I look at these bruises, and I'm like, were you in here fighting the kids and whatever, trying to mother him and let him know, to humble himself and to keep his mouth closed if he can, trying to, you know, speak knowledge into my child, even though he's in a tough bind right now. So I thought he might have had a fight with one of the boys in the facility, but that wasn't to be true. My son was a little nervous, but he was so happy. He was like, "You see it? You can tell or whatever." And I'm like, "Yeah, I can see clearly that something's wrong." So he was relieved, to know that I noticed. I and he showed me his arm where right up into a big area of his arm, it was totally bruised up, red, and looked like it had been bent back, which I understand they do have, their forces detaining young men. Um, but it was like punches and a few bruises up and down his arm. So um apparently he was being disrespectful to, I'm gonna call my son out as well. He had a conversation about food. Um because he doesn't eat beans. He's never ate beans. And I know in jail you don't have a choice. Okay. Eat or don't eat. But he told him he was allergic to beans. His father agreed that he was allergic to beans, and the nurse wanted him to eat it anyway. So they do make him throw up. So I really don't know if he's allergic to them or not. But it's just something that it's a no-go. Um, he cursed and told the lady he didn't want the shit or whatever. Fine. A guard escorted him out, and on the way of escorting him out, explained to my son how he was being a disrespectful punk ass little nigga, um, and that he will fuck him up for disrespecting his mother. I'm not sure if that was his mom or not, but I understood the conversation on the way to, what my son was explaining, that he know that he was in the wrong, and he apologized for speaking out of context. And well, I wasn't there, but this is what I'm getting. But overall, whew, it went from one officer having a altercation with my son to 8. I just want to know, like, where are the limitations when it comes to dealing with, the children in there, and if it really takes 8 officers to detain or um, defuse a situation, and if it is antagonizing to make threats to the children. You know what I'm saying? Because it's already a tough situation. I'm asking because, like, here I'm learning that he's been abused sexually. He's been going through type of, mental breakdown as far as school. Like, the shit is crazy out here. To hear that teachers were sleeping with my son. He's only 16. You know what I'm saying? And here it is. Now we got authority in this facility that's to me overbearing, because if you make any threats to somebody about beating their ass and killing them and fucking them up about, this, that, and the third, you're gonna display some type of anger. And I do understand that he probably, not a probably, I'm gonna be accountable. I know my child, but I think it was overdone for 8 individual officers to put their hands and feet on my child. So I'm seeking some type of help to assure that my child is not one of the next ones on the news that's killed in a detention facility. I want to ensure that while he's being punished, that he is not being attacked because he is away from his family. I want to ensure that their jobs are being done correctly, because we are all victims and have heard of things where these facilities get out of hand. And I don't want my son's life to be his punishment. I understand right and wrong, and if he's wrong in any way, But I can't go and beat the shit out of somebody. You guys didn't let me beat my son when he was wrong. You threatened me with jail if I beat him. You threatened me with jail if I spanked him. You threatened me with jail if I seemed too aggressive with my children. Like in the state of Wisconsin, we're supposed to be one way. But that one way then went out of hand. Y'all tell all the kids that if your mom whoop your ass, call the police. If your mom do this, do that. Well, now y'all reaping the benefits of parents too afraid to whoop their kids because they don't want to be in jail because of discipline. Well, now that the discipline did not get infused the way that y'all stopped it from being infused. Once the school told me they were gonna get involved, I don't know. I don't want no parts of that. But now here it is. These kid boys and girls and you know what I'm saying, these all out of control children that don't show anybody respect. I'm not saying my son is innocent. He's not. I'm not either. Nobody is. Everybody has their problems. I just don't want him in there being attacked and this is the hardest thing that a mother has to endure, is the time where you cannot help your child. You literally I feel helpless. I feel empty. I feel like I am not a mother right now. I tried to keep him out. I definitely did. Definitely. But when I found out my son had a teacher every day picking him up from school. A teacher from an old school he went to, picking him up from school, encouraging him not to be in school. Bitch, you an old teacher. Bitch, ain't you supposed to be at school? But not only was she just picking him up, I found out this woman has been sexually assaulting my child, manipulating him with items that she's buying or whatever it is. Like, come on now, it's not a game out here. We had another staff member at another school that literally beat my son up last year. But he's a known child with disabilities. He's in therapy. It just, I never thought that I was going to see bruises on him when I went to see him. I never thought this would be my life. And I'm be honest, I never thought 100%. I had doubt that this would ever be me. But God has a way of putting things into your view and into your life. And the problem and the fear came in about yesterday's situation of seeing the bruises on my son. And the reason why I'm having this concern is because I don't want to miss a step. And he's not able to get out. Or I don't want, like the lady said, I talked to the supervisor yesterday and she kept saying, like, we had a conversation and it just wouldn't sit well with me, because she kept saying, well, I could have called the police on him. I could have called the police on him. And people are so so always ready to point fingers at the children. And then I kept asking the lady, like, where did she actually see? And she told me, well, I wasn't there when they fought. I wasn't there when he walked your son to the cell. I wasn't there then. I wasn't there then. But I was there when your son said, "Didn't you say we was finna fight? What up?" So I asked her, did that not make you put two and two together? Did you ask my son what happened? Um, like, did anybody care about what made the situation elevate, or does it matter? I understand they're there. You're there to follow rules. I get that. I get it. I get it. I get it. But to lead, you got to follow. To lead children, you have to follow directions as well. To lead children, you have to follow that. You cannot be the problem. You cannot do what they do to ensure that they do better. I do know that. The blind cannot lead the blind. Like, you cannot be a fighter and tell somebody don't fight. You cannot be a drug addict and tell somebody don't do drugs. You cannot, you know what I'm saying, be a hoe and encourage somebody else not to be a hoe. It's just not gonna work out like that. So I'm getting sick because it's like, I know where he's wrong, but I know where both parties went wrong. Me being in my mind, and I promise you, I really just don't want another situation to where my son is actually dead on account of being beat the fuck up, hung, starved, anything, on the fact that somebody feeling some type of way about him having anger issues. Maybe he can be switched to a part of the place that actually can deal with anger issues. You know what I'm saying? Maybe he could be in solitary confinement. I don't know. But I'm pretty sure it's something other than 8 officers putting their hands, feet, and paws all on my son to where he's bruised and in pain, can't sit up because his back hurt. Then hit his head. He could have had a concussion. He ain't even allowed to make the phone call, so I would not have known anything about it. And the fact that a woman stopped me on my way to my car to tell me her son's version of what happened and didn't even know me. She didn't have to do that. She didn't have to give me the superintendent number. She didn't have to do anything. She could have kept going. But apparently it was alarming enough. It was scary enough for her child to also confess from my child that he was mistreated in there by 8 guards. 8 guards, including their supervisor. The supervisor that spoke to me and told me my son, like, she didn't even let me tell her what my son said. Of course, he just gonna tell you anything to make you feel some type of way. No, he's not. I don't think kids do that, but a lot of adults do try to overplay the situation so that you downplay your child. I don't give a fuck how bad he is. I don't care where he went wrong at. There is plenty of men and women that have been in jail that have done wrong that correct themselves. So he is no different from anybody else that has accidentally done mistakes, that were not in the right mindset to do right from wrong yet. I was a teen mother. To me, now that I learned that lesson, that was wrong of me to put my children through that so young. Like, you have to learn right and wrong. But I don't want his lessons to be his life. Let me say that again. I don't want his lessons that he's being taught to be his life. And I definitely don't want it to be in the count of somebody else's hands. I, as a mother, feel like 8 people should not have put their hands on my child at one time. That's too much. That's too far. You could have closed him in a cell. You could have put him in a hole if y'all got it. I know people go to holes. He asked to speak to the supervisor. I was told before things escalated, I was told he asked to speak to a supervisor 5 times. And what I was told was, first the supervisor that was talking to me said, well, we do make our rounds. And if he would have asked to talk to me, I could have diffused the situation. I said, but he did. And then she switched up and said, oh, well, if I went to any and every call, they'll just think I'm going to come all the time. Okay, well, I'm confused as to what your role is. Do you go supervise the situations, or are you ignoring them? Do you need more than one supervisor? Supervisor assistant, supervisor assess something. What? But me as a person just feel like, stop touching these children because you're mad at their crime. It's their crime to be punished. He's already being punished. He does not need to be punished by your hands and feet up in that facility. And I'm not gonna just sit there and take it, because it's unfair. It's unfair. And if I had known about the teacher, I can't wait to figure out what this bitch name is. Cause it's why we keep sitting, why are y'all successfully forcing us to send our children to any place with these legal pedophiles? Kids is getting fucked at school. This lady I found out been picking my son up for a whole year and a half. He's 16. Like, what's wrong with your dry ass pussy that you need this young me so bad? What is wrong? Oh, bitch, pussy. Oh, that ain't even what I'm supposed to be talking about right now. I'm lying. Milwaukee got to do better. We got to do better. We definitely got to do better. We got to do better. The lady said, I'm not trying to make an excuse for my guards. That's exactly what you're doing when you're telling me this is a hands-on facility. Okay, I understand that. It's a hands-on facility. You might have to use excessive force. If somebody is acting out of character, I get that. I get it. But if you're forcing me to act out of character, I'm done. I just, either way I go, like the way that the world works right now, it's always gonna be the mother's fault. Either way it go, it's the mom's fault. You know, I can hear it now. You should have did this. That's why I don't know who to talk to, because everything seems to be the mom's fault. Everything. And I'm really tired of hearing that, because no, it's not. It is not my fault that I nurtured my child. It is not my fault that I was there at every school event. It's not my fault that I made sure that I was engaging with the schools. It's not my fault that I went to work. It's not my fault that I made sure they was clothed and fed. It's not my fault. Y'all not finna keep blaming these mothers. Y'all not finna blame me. It's not my fault that this teacher and other teachers are out here acting as if they're their friends. buying weed from the kids, fucking on them, sucking on them, not making them go to class. We didn't have so many teachers sexually with these kids. It's like we should have just kept the what's it called? Remote school. Learning online. AOL. LOL. Learn online. Learn online. Learn online. We should have kept that. I just felt really irritated seeing those bruises on my child, seeing his face, looking at them guards, so scared. It is not my fault. I mean, I literally despise the fact that he's there. I really hate the way that things happen. I'm hating the way that he's living his life, that he's learning, that the decisions, the friends, like when I held him as a child, as a little baby, like none of this was ever in my vision for him. Like he's such a good boy, and with the anger and animosity that's been going on, I personally been seeking therapy for him because of the trauma that he has endured. And unfortunately, like I'm telling my son, nobody has compassion to care about what you've been through anymore. Nobody really um has that in them anymore. No compassion, no care. And it's always about um showing off now. Showing off the fact that you can do something. And if you're not doing that, what you can do with love and respect and with straight up, if you're not coming from a good place, you're not making it better. You're just not. You're just not gonna make it better. It's crazy. I don't know.